Welcome to Two Taps and Friends. Grab your favorite drink, get comfy, and let's dive into another episode of Two Taps and Friends.
Welcome back to Two Taps and Friends, everybody. I'm your host, Danny Rosenberg. I'm here with my colleague and co-host almost, Michael Dye. He's been on so much, I have him back. He's been great. Welcome back, Michael.
Nice to be here, Danny.
Yeah, so I brought Michael back today because, you know, Michael and I have a lot of war stories together, and I told you guys as we were remembering some of these cases, I would have guys back and we would talk about the cases. And like I was saying, you know, as defense attorneys, I always talk to you about this, dude. We kind of like, you black out some of the cases because I think your hard drive is preparing for new stuff to come in constantly.
Yeah, it's the memory gets written over.
It just gets written over. So like you, the one thing that's amazing about you is you remember all this shit. Like you say, Danny, you remember, and you remind me of things that I have no business forgetting, right? Like crazy shit. Like you remember this case with the soap on a rope, or you remember this, and I'm like, oh my God, how did I forget that case? But dude, yeah, I'm gonna kick things off because I just, you know, we handle so many crazy cases and so many crazy situations that, first of all, people don't believe half the time we tell the stories. Now, at this point in my life, people do believe me. They realize that we live this, right? But, you know, they're just hilarious. It's like literally, that's why I don't really watch law shows. I'm sure Michael doesn't watch law shows.
I object.
We live this. Like, this is, like, we need it. At the end of the day, you know, Johnny will attest to this. My God, all these guys, you're trying to clear your head from the madness. We see madness, right? We're behind the curtains. And look, one of the cases that kind of stood out, I can't believe I didn't forget about it, but it just doesn't pop in my head, is I call it the Catch Me If You Can guy, is what I call him.
Trying to remember this
is
one.
the guy, you weren't part of this, but I think you knew of this story. So this goes back about 10 years. I get a call from an attorney, a different kind of, that practices different kind of, a lot of our cases will come from other attorneys that practice in different fields. Old timer, and this old timer attorney always had the craziest, like, he would send the craziest cases, right? And he gives me a guy, and the guy has a very plain name. Like, I don't want to name his name, but it's Jeff something, right? And it's a very plain Jane name. And he goes, listen, this guy is amazing. He's an evangelical pastor. Now he speaks to hundreds of people, but he has a crazy life. Like, he had a crazy life in the past, and he's now older. And, you know, he had some, you know, crazy history, but he's turned his life around. He has a huge following. He's a man of the Lord and all this stuff, right? He goes, but he's got some old warrants from like the 70s in Florida. You know, he lives in another state and he wants to move with his wife. And these people are like 70 years old, right?
Yeah.
He wants to move down to Florida and can you take care of some 1970s warrants? And I'm thinking, yeah, that's easy. A 1970 warrant, right? Like, how are they ever going to like find witnesses for that? Like, if you could convince the judge to put it on the docket, right, and they start negotiating, you probably get those things withdrawn because the state at this point, when the state has to prove the case, they have to bring the witnesses in, they have to bring subpoenas, find all. In the 1970s, who the hell knows where these people are? They're not going to be able to find them, you know? So the challenge would be if the judge allowing you to come in, because the judge could just say, go, well, turn yourself into jail, right? So I talked to the guy. And he talks like this. Well, a couple of guys in this story talk like this. Real smooth talking guy. Hey, so I had a trouble pass, Danny, you know, and gives me a little bit, but doesn't give me the full story, right? He goes, these are, you know, it's an old name. So that used to be my name. I did a name change. So it's under an old name, and it's a name change. So now I have a new name. It's legally new, but, you know, it's under these names. Can you help me? And I'm like, yeah. So he hires me. And I immediately file a motion to withdraw the warrants, or motion for in-court surrender, right? To allow us to come in with the person. And my hope is obviously when you do that before court, usually the prosecutor will call and we can negotiate something and get it done, right? So he's real hesitant to come in. He goes, are you sure it's going to be okay if I come in? And the judge is a really level-headed former defense attorney judge. You know him very well. And I'm like, you know, he's going to be reasonable about this, right? Well, what if he makes me go into jail? I'm like, well, I don't think he's going to make you go into jail. This is a really old case. You're doing very well, right? So he keeps like pushing back, doesn't want to come. And I'm like, listen, all you need to do, and in those situations, what happens is if there's a warrant, if you come into court, they have to serve them with this actual warrant, right? and a deputy, an armed deputy has to come up and they'll ask for your identification, you'll give them the license, and then they'll say, okay, well, here's the warrant, and the judge can allow you not to go into custody in a lot of these cases, right? So that's what I was hoping the transition would be, right? So the morning of court, and I'm getting calls from like all kinds of business people. I want to speak to his character. Are you sure he's going to be okay? I'm like, who is this guy that all these people are calling me? I don't get it, right?
Yeah.
So the day of court, I'm sitting down, and he meets me in the cafeteria. Remember when the cafeteria, you
Yeah.
have to sit in the cafeteria, have coffee, you know? So he's sitting, he's got his
missed-
wife. He missed that. It was
Yeah.
great. It was a little powwow for all the lawyers and everybody. So we're sitting there, his wife's there, and he's like, yeah, Danny, well, you know, are you sure? He's still nervous, right? And I'm like, listen, dude, just, you have a license? He goes, well, problem is I don't have a license with that name on it. And I go, what do you mean? Isn't that your former, you know, isn't that your name? Wasn't that your own name? No. I'm like, what? He goes, I had 100 names. I'm like, what? He's like, I had 100 names. He goes, you ever see the movie Catch Me If You Can? He's like, yeah. He's like, based on me. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, I'm like, oh my God. So now there's all kinds of rules. Like, I can't just turn somebody in under a name. So I'm like, all right, well, sometimes they'll allow you to use the booking photo, right? They
Yeah.
can identify you with the booking photo if that's your name, and, you know, we could explain to the judge if it gets crazy, you know? He goes, all right, so we go in. So we go up, and the judge, and now also, if the guy is admitting that he's using false names, that could open him up to other things in the
Other-
past
yeah.
too, right? So I'm in a real conundrum here. So we go up, and I'm like, listen, just let's go up and see what's going on, right? So we call it up, and I go, Judge, you know, he doesn't have a license. It's an old name. He's changed his name. He goes, all right, well, you know, the armed deputy could use the booking phone. So the armed deputy that comes up is, do you remember Julie Bowers, Detective Julie Bowers? She was in Women of BSO. She
Yeah, I
was the
remember her.
sexual crimes lady. She was on TV. Tough cookie, right?
Yeah.
Sweetheart, friend of mine, like great person. Very, very tough. Good cop, right? So she happens to come up as the deputy to serve. And I'm like, Julie, what are you doing here, right? And she goes, well, I'm on my way out. Like, I'm retiring. This is a cushy gig. And I'm like, of all people to come up and do this, right? So I tell him, like, listen, he doesn't have a license with his name on it. It's complicated. Can you use the booking photo? She goes, sure. So she goes, and it's like a 1970 file that's like falling apart, right? She's like, there's no picture here. It's in black and white pretty much, Danny. Like, what am I supposed to do? So I'm like, all right, well, let's just call it up with the judge and tell him what's happening. So we call it up, and the judge is like, all right, sir, well, how about, what is your height? He looks at me, gives him the height. The judge looks at it, it's the wrong height. He goes, well, what's your weight? He looks at me, I'm like, wrong weight. Eye color. What's your middle name? All wrong, right? He goes, all right, well, here's what we're going to do. Go in the vestibule, write down your social security number, give it to Danny. Danny will hand it to me, and you don't have to read it out of the record, and we'll match it that way. So we go in the vestibule. I'm like, dude, is that a real social security number? He goes, I had 100 social security numbers. I'm like, oh my God. So I go, we got to go sidebar. Like, we talked about sidebar, we go talk to the judge. So we go talk to the judge. I go, Judge, I got a real problem here. This guy's now telling me he had hundreds of names. The guy, he was crazy. I mean, he's now, I told him he has this big following. He's been out of trouble. This is the last 2 warrants he has, apparently. And he's like, well, all right, well, he goes, well, let's just let Julie go down and run his prints. And whatever comes back, Danny, you know?
Yeah.
I know, like, Judge, I can't put on the record that he's changed his name and used false names. It could open him up to all this other stuff. He goes, yeah, you're right. So he goes down, and we're sweating, all of us. The judge doesn't know what's about to happen. I don't know what's about to happen. Julie kind of knows, but doesn't know. So she comes back up with like 10 cops, right?
Oh, shit.
Yeah. She walks in, and she goes, Your Honor, we have an imposter in the courtroom. I haven't heard the word imposter since like Scooby-Doo, right? I'm like, imposter in the courtroom. And she starts reading his record. Theft of a helicopter, impersonating a foreign diplomat, hostage taking, hijacking. I'm like, oh my, it's the most impressive like background I've ever heard, right? Literally organizing a scheme to defraud Broadway. Like, it was just one thing that you're like, oh my God. So he's looking at me, I'm like, oh my God, dude. So they take him. I'm like, Judge, we have to take him into custody. He goes, Danny, at this point, your client could be bin Laden. We're taking him into custody, and we're going to see whatever comes back from anywhere. I'm like, he's saying to me that all these warrants are going to come back clean. Like, He goes, well, we'll take him in and we'll see what happens. So then I go see him in the jail like that night. I'm like, dude, why wouldn't you tell me all this? He goes, well, I knew if I told you all this, you wouldn't help me. So I had to kind of trick you and protect you at the same time. I'm like, I don't know what you did. He goes, well, I was, and it turns out this case, like he organized this whole shipping department store thing, and he hired 100 workers, and he would pull off these schemes and then dip in the middle of the night and disappear with all the money. And he did it over and over and over and over again. So he's telling me, he's like, so I found Jesus and I started my life over, and I told my boss I was working for at the time to love me. I was high up in a position, and he told me to turn myself in and that he would help me with everything I needed to do. So the guy went and turned himself into jail in a Mississippi, and just waited for every warrant to come back on him with his prints, because with his prints, they could find out all these alias names. He did time for all of it. He served 8 years. The only place that wouldn't come back and let him deal with it was Florida. Florida said, screw you, we're leaving the warrants. We don't want you here. Don't ever come back. And that's why he was so hesitant, thinking I was never going to be able to pull it off. So when I go in for the first time, it's like a line prosecutor, a kid prosecutor that's there to argue it. It was like a Friday, he goes in, I'm getting calls from every kind of person you could think of, presidents of companies, CEOs, you got to get him out. You told me he was, I'm like, dude, this is a complicated case. The next Monday we come in, they have their lead prosecutor there, the #1 guy, I don't want to name his name, real tough cookie. And I go to talk to him, like, listen, he goes, Danny, stay the hell away from me. Your guy's the biggest fraudster in the history I've ever seen, and I've been in this office for 40 years. I'm not agreeing to anything, right? So I convinced the judge. I'm like, listen, dude, this guy turned himself in. The only 2 warrants are Florida. This guy, I told him the whole story. I'm like, you can't just keep him in till the end of time. They're not going to be able to find this case. They're not going to be able to find these witnesses. The guy did not have to bring himself to this court. You would have never caught him. He's here. The judge's like, yeah, I do agree with that. He goes, all right, well, I'll release him on a monitor while we're figuring this out. And the prosecutor's pissed. I don't want to name his name, but he's tough. He's like, you can't let this happen, Your Honor. He's an imposter, and this and that. So then literally lets him out a week later. A day later, he calls me, listen, they want a license for the monitor. I'm like, oh, God, So literally a week later, I get a call, and it's the prosecutor. He's mad, and it's just a voicemail. And it goes, Danny, I'm dropping the goddamn case. And he just hangs up the phone. So I call him, like, dude, you really just dropped it? He goes, do you know how many Jeff so-and-sos there are in this country? Your guy picked the most bland name ever.
John Smith.
And I'm not able to track anything. I can't do anything. It's a 1970 case. The department store doesn't even exist anymore. These people don't exist. And so, when I went to go see him, the guy tells me, he goes, dude, I wrote a book about this. I'm like, well, what's the book called? He goes, Desperate Highway. So viewers can go look it up. And I go, he goes, I wrote a book about my life story. I'm like, you didn't tell me this? He goes, I couldn't tell you this. So then I opened the book, and the first page is, so I'm driving down the road with a kilo of cocaine and a shotgun in my lap, and I just closed the book. I'm like, I can't read any more of this, dude. So that was one of the craziest. Until this day, the deputies in there, they still have, the deputies that were in the court today, they're like, dude, the look on your face when they were reading
all
his
the charges.
background, I've never forget it, dude. One of the crazier cases. It comes to my mind, but I don't know how I forget about it. But that was one of the crazier cases. But tell me something that you had a couple.
Oh, God. I got a couple bouncing around in my head, but I'll start off with one. This is DUI case in another jurisdiction. And so the guy was driving down the road. I think I mentioned it on an earlier podcast. Yeah. It was his birthday. And so he gets pulled over by a cop. He's in the car with some of his friends. And this police officer, she's new, and she's a rookie. And she comes up to the window, and the first thing out of his mouth is like, holy shit, thanks, guys. I love it when strippers dress up like cops, right?
Oh, my God.
So this doesn't start well for him. Needless to say, he got arrested for DUI. She put him through the whole roadside sobriety exercises and, took him down. He blew 000. All right, so then...
So he wasn't drunk?
No, he wasn't drunk. Then they, of course, what do they...
He just passed out.
Yeah, what do you do what do the police do when you blow 000? Well, it's obviously drugs. All right, and so they got a drug recognition expert to say that I don't know. I think they said he was on like a dissociative anesthetic or something, which was true.
You know, the argument is, Your Honor, he's not on drugs, he's an idiot.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's
So-
a safe argument.
The prosecutor, this case has to go to trial because the guy's on probation.
Right.
All right, so the case has to
Oh, he's
go
on
to-
probation.
Yeah,
too.
he's on
For
probation.
what?
I don't even remember. I don't represent him on
Go
that
ahead.
case. And so the case has to go to trial, and I'm like, all right, you know, didn't do too bad on the roadsides, blew triple zeros, and, DRE, drug recognition evidence experts, that's kind of voodoo. So I'm figuring, it's possible, right? What I wasn't counting on is the rookie female cop. And before the trial, she went up to the state attorney, and I've been talking, and she went up to the state attorney, and she was like, it's my first trial that I'm testifying in. And apparently what he told her was, don't argue with Michael. He's going to get under your skin a little bit. Don't argue with him. Just tell your side of the story. This was the easiest cross-examination I ever did. I was like, so you messed that up? And she's like, yes. And she agreed with me on everything. So the state closes their evidence, and the jury's out of the room, and she walks up to the prosecutor. I'm trying not to say his name. And she walks up to the prosecutor, and she's like, okay, how was that? And he said, take yourself out in the hallway and pepper spray yourself in the fucking face.
Oh, my God. Poor thing. Dude.
And he was like, I told you not to argue with him. I didn't tell you to agree with him on absolutely everything.
Oh, my goodness. I could see every question you lifted your eye, like, really?
Yeah, I was like,
Okay.
all right, next.
So this
And-
is all bullshit, right? Like.
yeah, pretty much.
I
And-
have a funny one recently. I called the guy.
we got a not guilty on that one.
Oh wait, you got to not
Yeah,
guilty? Of course, dude. Like they set it up. But so I had one with. I called him the masturbator. All right, there's this guy, right?
You arrested my kid.
Listen, no, this is strange. So this guy called me. Nice guy, right? He says, listen, I got arrested. I was at the casino and I had some trouble. I'm like, all right, what is it? He goes, well, they're saying that I was walking around and kind of like inappropriately walking around the casino floor. So I'm like, inappropriate, huh? And he's charged with lewd and lascivious, right? Lewd
That's
and
kinda
lascivious.
inappropriate.
Right, I think it was indecent exposure or something. I don't remember exactly what it was. So I look at the police report, and the police report says that this individual was walking around the casino on the floor with a bathrobe, masturbating, just walking around the whole casino. And I'm like, dude, what? And when you talk
I can see arrest for
when
that.
you talk to the guy, like he's the nicest, like proper guy. It's like, yeah, I had a tough night. I'm like, so then I get the video. Oh, let me tell you something. There's one place not to masturbate walking around in public. It's in a casino floor, okay? Because you have no idea how many cameras there are there. They have every angle, slow-mo. It was not something that I should have been watching, okay? You just see this guy's walking around with sunglasses on, with like the robe from the hotel, and he's just randomly walking around masturbating, walking down the hall, walking up to tables, like it's nothing. Like the guy's literally walking around eating Tic Tacs. I get out, I'm like, dude, so I call him like, what the hell was that? He's like, I don't know, the medication I was taking, I think it mixed badly. I'm like, mixed badly, dude? So then that's one
Mixed
part.
badly with the cocaine I
Right.
was taking.
So then I'm like, all right, well, we'll deal with it. Like, I'm in treatment. I'm the doctor and the therapy. We're trying to figure. I'm like, all right, well, we can work with that. A month later, I got in trouble again. I'm like, what, dude? What happened? I don't know. They're saying I was walking around masturbating in another casino on the other side of the state. I'm like, oh, they're saying, huh? Right? Get the fucking video, dude. The guy's walking around, same thing, walking up and down the thing with sunglasses. He looks like a Cape Crusader. Like this was his like superhero identity. At midnight, he puts glasses on and a robe and just walks around the casino floor masturbating. So there was 2 pending cases with the same thing. And imagine that conversation with the prosecutor. Like, Danny, what the hell is wrong with your guy? I'm like, I don't know, but he's working on it. So I called him the masturbator. That was a crazy one, I ended up working it out with like therapy. They wanted to put him in jail.
For you or him?
They wanted to for both of us, dude. No, that was a package deal. No, they wanted to put him in jail. I convinced them not to put him in jail, and that he needed help. And it was the weirdest thing because he was like the nicest guy the day of court. He came with family and like, I don't know. I guess that's just his alter ego is the masturbator with the sunglasses, Yeah, that was a crazy case, That was a crazy case.
I'm trying to think of another good DUI. One of the things when you're a lawyer, it's always a compliment when another lawyer asks you to represent them. So this was a case where a lawyer had come to me and he said, "Hey, I got arrested for a DUI," and I was like, "Gladly help you." Give him a huge break on the fee, just enough to cover my expenses, and I consider it an honor that you would ask me.
Right.
Then I get the probable cause affidavit and the video, and this guy was again. This was in another jurisdiction. The guy was driving down the highway, swerving. It's in the wintertime. He's swerving across 4 lanes of travel, back and forth. All right. He takes about
Did it affect traffic?
Yes.
Go ahead.
It very much affected traffic.
For those listeners, one of the things of swerving for DUI attorneys look for is like you can if you come out of your lane once, maybe twice, if you can there's arguments to make that if it doesn't affect traffic, it's not enough for a violation. But go ahead.
Oh, no, this very much affected traffic.
I think crossing over 4 lanes back and forth qualifies.
So he takes about.
What time of the day was it?
This was like 2:00 in the afternoon.
Okay, no good.
All right, so
All right, we're good.
And so the highway patrol officer was following him with lights on, and for like 2.5 miles. And this is not a high-speed chase. He's going about 15 miles an hour.
Those are my favorite.
Going down the highway.
Those are my favorite.
Going back and forth. And he finally stops, and the police officer walks up to the window. He's wearing a wife-beater tank top, a Speedo bathing suit, and drinking a Corona. Right?
Oh, that's amazing.
And the officer's like, "May I have your license, registration, and your beer, please?"
He's got it on him? He's
drinking it, right?
Jesus Christ.
So he hands the officer the license, the registration, and the beer, then immediately bends over, flips open a cooler, pulls out another one, and pops it open.
Oh, my God. Needless to say, he got arrested for DUI.
Yeah, he got arrested for DUI. Now, and by the way, they're like, "Where were you going?" He's like, "I'm on my way to my son's baseball game."
Oh, shit.
All right, which, I don't believe was true because it was the middle of the winter. But, that son
You
should
thought that would curry favor with the cop?
I have no idea. The son should be thanking the cop for arresting his dad, because showing up at the baseball field in a wife beater, a Speedo, and a Corona, that just wouldn't have been very good.
What happened with the case? How did it end?
All right, so we end up, he blew like a .04, which is below the legal limit. So
The guy's not even really drunk.
he's not drunk. So they go ahead and they give him a blood test, which was legal in that jurisdiction, and he comes back positive for like 7 different things.
Oh, shit. That makes sense.
But, they tested for everything. So one of them was like an antidepressant. One of them was an antipsychotic. Very needed. Right? That was definitely needed. So not everything in there was a controlled substance. There were a couple. There was like marijuana, cocaine, Xanax, Ambien. There's a handful of stuff in there that were controlled substances, but they were at kind of lower levels in the blood that you wouldn't necessarily associate with impairment by themselves. Synergistically, they might have had a hell of an effect. So the state goes ahead and is trying to get the blood test in, but the thing I noticed is that they never had the person who drew the blood testify as to how the blood was drawn, and they didn't do that by affidavit or anything. So I objected. because they weren't able to lay a proper foundation for the blood draw to get in.
Right.
So when this was actually a bench trial, all right, and so when it goes to the finder of fact, she's like, I've got some weird driving, I've got somebody with obvious psychological issues, I have a .04 and no controlled substances from blood draw because it wasn't admissible, not guilty. And I was just like, what? You know?
He got away with the Speedo?
He got away with the Speedo.
It's amazing.
I was absolutely shocked. That was, one of, sometimes you win cases that you don't think you're going to win because he wanted to go to trial, and I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea.
Oh my God.
I
think half the trials that I've won, I told him, don't go to trial.
Yeah. I was like, I don't think that's a good idea because,
Well, it's never really that good of an idea.
No.
It's always risky, like we talked about last episode with Johnny and everybody. Like the deck is stacked against us no matter what, Throw in some facts like that. Throw in a video of a person like face planting or puking on a cop or hitting.
I had somebody throw up on a cop's shoe during the.
Oh, I've seen many throw up videos. Many throw up videos.
I had
The DUI videos are some of the most entertaining things I've ever.
Oh, they were awesome, especially when you got the old video cassettes.
The video cassettes are great. You had to wait for them. Remember?
Yeah.
You had to wait and go pick it up at that little office there, and then you would be like eating popcorn. Like people like sitting hunched over your shoulder watching the videos. They were amazing, dude. Oh, those are great. I had another really good one. I think it was it's a federal case. The guy was like, he was like a huge, like owned one of the biggest sports books.
Yeah.
Like out of the country, and like Costa Rica, here, huge name. Can't name a name, obviously, but
J.O.
No. That's a different one. No,
Okay.
but he like they couldn't hear that. By the way, good job there. You
I don't
closed the
know.
mic just like 10
I
minutes.
was friends with him in college.
Anyway, so the guy, he big time guy, right? So he comes into my office like telling me he thinks that, he owns this thing, he's a big guy, and like he thinks the feds are investigating him, but he's not sure, he heard rumors. So he pays me like a retainer just to have me at whim, in a case that it happens so he can feel better. He gives his family members my number to call me on their anxiety and all this. I don't hear from the guy for 3 years, right? I'm like, all right. All of a sudden, one day I get a call. Hey, Danny. This is literally how he talks. It's blah, blah, blah. I'm like, hey, how you doing? Long time no speak. Not so good. I'm like, why? He goes, I got 37 Fed agents here in my house. And the guy lives like down the street from me. I'm like, really? Yeah, they're raiding me. I'm like, all right, well, can I speak to, he goes, oh, they're taking my Lambo. They just took my Ferrari. I'm like, all right, get me an agent, put him on the phone with me, right? So I get on the phone. This is agent so-and-so, Dallas, the Dallas Bureau. And I'm like, because they're out of Dallas. I go, hey, how are you? Good. I see you have the warrant there. He goes, yeah, you want me to send you a photo of it? I'm like, I believe you. When you're getting 25 agents, I'm pretty sure you got a warrant, I'm like, how long? Do I need to come there? He's like, oh, you don't really need to because we're just going to take everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, how long is it going to take? He goes, you seen his house? He goes, you got a lot of stuff, Danny. It'll be a couple hours. You're welcome to come by. I'm like, all right. Put him on the phone. They just took my G-Wagon. And then he walks out. He goes, I got to talk to you. He walks away. He goes, listen, got a lot of cash in the house. I'm like, well, how much cash? $6 million. I'm like, Jesus Christ. What? They're going to get that. I'm like, yes, they're going to get that. He goes, and some gold. I'm like, gold? What are you, a fucking pirate? He's like, no, I got gold bars. Bars, no less, right? Dude, they seized $21 million worth of shit out of his house,
Jesus.
right? Turned into this huge federal case. So the best is, like, it becomes a big case. The guy's so entertaining. His life story is, like, insane. Like, he was a sports book owner in Vegas in the 70s, in the 80s, with the 60s, with Bugsy. See, all these, like, mobsters that were forming Vegas, he was there in the middle of them. So we go and we're debriefing with the feds. For debrief, people don't know, you go and you sit with all the feds. It's a task force. So there's Homeland agents, Fed agents. These agents, Fed agents have cowboy hats and boots on. It's something out of the movies, right?
Yeah.
So they're literally giving you everything they have on him. And these guys are good. They just want to confiscate money, flip you, move on to the next person, confiscate money. And it's sports betting. It's not like these people are killing people, but, and it's legal in a lot of places, but not there, right? So they're going through and they're showing me all this stuff. They're showing him all this. And he starts telling stories and they're just like all of us turned into like little kids, and like
Just
even the
listening.
feds were like,
Yeah.
really? He goes, yeah. And at one point, the feds were like, well, didn't the mob bother you back then? And they're like, oh yeah, they came to talk to us. Guy came and threatened us. We almost packed up and left in the morning. He threatened us, but it turns out that guy got drug out to the desert and beat with bats by all of his friends and buried in the desert. I go, wait a minute, I know that story. I'm like, is that the casino story? He goes, yeah, that was the guy in that movie. That's who came and I mean, crazy stories, right?
Yeah.
So the best, at one point, we're trying to negotiate back and forth with the feds. After he's gone, it's just us. It was like a team of like 3 lawyers on it. One from Cali, one from New York, me. So we're all negotiating this, and he's showing us they confiscate. Like, he's not the smartest. He'd been getting away with this for so long, he didn't even hide anything. He's like keeping jot notes of who owes him money, from where his corporations are overseas. And in his notes, he wrote, he meant to write, he listed shell corporations, right? But he called them shelf corporations with an F. He goes, and these are shelf corporations. These are to Danny. I mean, he listed them. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh. How do you know it's not shelves? Maybe it's a shelving business. He's like, Danny, shut up. You know, it's shelf. So at some point at the end of negotiations, he's like, look, Danny, we're going to be able to keep all this money. Like, you're not going to be able to prove that he did any legitimate business. And I go, oh, he's in the shelving business. And everybody started dying laughing. We ended up resolving it really well. I mean, they got money, but, you know, he ended up keeping him out. And it was a crazy case. But that was one of the crazier cases. Too.
Oh,
I
the
mean,
forfeiture
they kept,
alone.
I think we got a couple cars back. He was real mad about his wife's G-Wagon because the wife would not leave him alone about the G-Wagon. He would call me up. He's facing all this stuff. Can you get the goddamn G-Wagon back? I can't listen to this woman anymore. She's going crazy. Just get the G-Wagon. I'm calling these agents. I'm, can you give me the G-Wagon? Like, the G-Wagon? We got his Lambo, his Ferrari. We got, like, autographed Super Bowl fucking rings. Like, the G-Wagon? I'm like, it's his wife's. They're like, oh. So they gave us the G-Wagon. That was part of the deal. Yeah, dude, you can't make some of this shit up. I promise.
Speaking about wives, I got to keep this one really, really vague. There's a guy, much like your client, where he turned his life around. But
Which one, the first one or the second one?
The one where you said he was a preacher.
Oh,
This
yeah,
guy
yeah,
was
yeah.
like now ultra religious, allegedly. All right, because he wasn't doing some really religious stuff here. But so he turned his life around and given his life to Jesus. And so he wasn't in the, breaking and entering, robbing people business anymore. And so they went ahead and they ended up getting a warrant for his arrest, saying that, that he burgled, I guess that's what you'd say, burgled the house, right? And so he was like, man, Michael, I've got a complete alibi to this, not a problem. I was like, what's that? He's like, I was banging a hooker on the other side of town. I'm like, that's great, all right?
Will the hooker come testify?
Well, here's the problem. He's married to a really religious...
That's not an airtight alibi then. That's not an airtight alibi.
So I checked out the alibi, and the alibi was...
Of course you checked out the alibi.
No, I mean, I made sure all the ducks were in a row there. And so what ends up happening is...
They're not hookers. They're professional
they're
escortisans.
escortisans.
Yeah, escortisans.
And
Companionship. Companionship.
Yeah.
That's I had a pimp one time testify to that. He's like, no, I'm in the business of companionship.
I wrote a contract for a Jack Shack once.
Oh, God. Finish the story, dude.
It's for time and companionship and anything that happens between two consenting adults.
Yeah, right.
So I come back to him and I'm like, look, all right, here's the thing, we have to file a notice of alibi. So we got to go ahead and put in the court file that you were banging a hooker on the other side of town.
You don't have to write banging a hooker. I've heard
I'm
you
not
worded
gonna-
better, right? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
exactly. He was enjoying the adult companionship with
God.
Debbie Diamonds on the other side.
Venom.
Yeah.
With venom. Go ahead.
And so he was like, well, wait a minute before you do that. My wife's going to see that. I'm like, yeah, she's probably going to end up seeing this. And he's like, what's the offer?
Take the deal. If it's not prison, you take the deal, right?
They offered him 6 months.
Oh,
and I was just
6
like,
months jail?
Yeah.
I would still take the deal.
Yeah, they offered him 6 months in jail. And I was like, look, dude, as a man, I can respect you either way. All right, if you'd rather do the 6 months in jail, and just sit there, you're gonna plead no contest, you're gonna protest your innocence to the end. It's just that you don't want to face a 5-year prison sentence.
Right.
I'm sure your wife will understand that logic, and so that's what he did. He was just like, he took the 6 months. He's like, I'm just doing this because they're holding 5 years over my head, but he didn't do it.
Smart. You remember Smiley?
Oh, Smiley.
I'm not gonna name his first name, but all of his cases are closed, so we can.
Oh yeah, I do.
Dude.
Oh god.
So the guy's last name was Smiley, all right? And I didn't know who he was. When I first met him, I was a public defender.
Like the Michelin Incredible Burglar.
Yes, dude.
Coming in
he
on
was
wire.
like Tom Cruise coming in. So I had no idea who this guy is. It's like the first 2 weeks of me being a public defender. I'm alone in county. Guy walks up. It's a petty theft in like a Home Depot or something. So my theory in county court is I wanted to try as many cases as I could so I can get out of there quickly, go to felony, then try as many cases as I could, then go in private practice, right? That was the goal. So I had this crazy case count of like 200 cases. So my theory is like, look, you're either going to take this deal or we're going to go to trial. I'm not, because people will string you along like, oh, I'm not sure, and they just want to keep coming back and coming back. But if the offer of my theory is if your offer is a withholding court cost, which is in layman's, that's the lowest offer. They're not convicting you, and you just pay court costs. It's time served. Even if you don't go to jail, you're done, right? It's a fine. It's on your record. You could seal it. But if that's the offer, you either are going to take that offer or we're going to trial. You have the right to go to trial. Fine. I'm going to call ready for trial and move it. Because in county court, we could try these cases pretty quickly, right? They're not, 2 days maybe, So I was calling ready, so the guy comes and he's got a withhold court cost. And he's this real cocky, nice guy though. He goes, hey, and I'm like, yeah, so you got a withhold court cost. You want to take it? He goes, you don't know who I am. I go, oh, should I know who you are? He goes, yeah, you don't know my name? I'm like, no. He goes, well, I'm the guy they've been trying to catch forever. I just tried my own case, pro se, and won in front of the judge, the judge that on the wheelchair. He goes, I won that trial. Like, I'm all over the news. Palm Beach has been trying to bust me, Broward. I go, well, if that's the case, you definitely should take the withhold court cost before they figure out who the hell you are. I'm never taking anything, Danny. We're going to trial. I'm like, okay. I call ready for trial, right? So we go up, and the prosecutor offered a withhold court cost at first. So then it gets set for like 2 months out. So then some point in the middle, he calls me. He's like, listen, dude, I don't really want to do a trial on this. What is it, just a fine? He goes, I don't have time. I have to leave town. My mom's sick. Let's just take the withhold court costs. I'm like, all right. So next time I go in court, I go, the prosecutor is a friend of mine. I go, hey, so remember that case, Smiley? She goes, yeah, she's busy. She's at the podium. I'm kind of talking to her at the side of her ear. I go, listen, we want to do that withhold court costs. She goes, okay, great. And then all of a sudden she goes, whoa. Smiley? She goes, yeah. She goes, fuck that. She goes, no chance. I'm like, what's the offer? She goes, the max. I'm like, oh, shit. She figured out who he is, right? So it ended up being, and the funniest thing about the case is that he would sign his name. So the case in the Home Depot case, so I start reviewing it for trial, and like the guy for the Home Depot security comes out, catches him, and then according to them, like they call him out on it. He starts admitting who he is, and then he signs something admitting that he stole it, because they told him they would let him out the door if he did that. So I go, dude, you got a signature admitting. He goes, that's not my signature. And I look, and his signature, he would sign his name with a smiley face. Like, that's how he signed his name, because his last name was Smiley. And I go, dude, does your signature have a smiley face on the end of it? He's like, well, I've been known to do that, but that's not my signature. They forged it. I'm like, oh, so this guy figured out to put, dude, I ended up winning the trial. I don't know how. I can't remember the details of it. But it turns out this guy was such a prolific burglar. He was famous, and he would never steal from homes. He would never be with people. He would go to businesses in strip malls, and he would literally get into the rafters, and he would wait until they closed, and only cash businesses. And he would go through the tiles. This is back when they had tile entrances, and he would just steal cash. And they all tried to bust him. They all knew who he was. At one point, Palm Beach set up a full sting operation, Mike. They set him up. They waited outside. He hit the place while they were all outside in the sting operation and got away with it. Ended up getting away with it. He ended up, the last time I heard from him, he was facing more charges up there, and they brought the whole force in to testify against him. He ended up getting 15 years in prison.
Whoa.
So, and he called me at some point. He's like, can you help me? I'm like, dude, you need to take whatever. You just got to be done. Calls me, I swear, like a year later. I'm out. I'm like, how are you out? He goes, well, I appealed it. I'm like, you want an appeal? He won an appeal. He won an appeal, came back. The state was like, you know what? Just give him time served, dude. So now he's not committing crimes. He's turned his life around. He found like Jesus and all this kind of stuff. I call him 9 Lives Smiley. But it was one of the crazier cases, you know?
Yeah.
It's incredible that we, like, you know, we only have a few minutes left, you know, but it's incredible, these cases, like, you just kind of, we live them, and then you just start to delete them, you know? But the funny thing is, when I'm out socially, people are like, what's the craziest case you've ever done? I get that, how many times?
Oh, yeah. It's
Like, I can just off the top of my head say, I'm like, you mean this week, right? Or like, today? But I tell you what we do is definitely entertaining, right?
Yeah, it's not boring.
Not boring, very stressful.
I don't know. I find the criminal defense is probably the least stressful out of all areas of law.
You think?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
So
I had a lawyer call me the other day, and he sends cases. He's a different kind of lawyer, and he said, dude, like, a friend of mine got charged, and I sat through his trial, and, like, I have a new respect for what you guys do. You guys do the heaviest shit at all. We do the heaviest shit out of all the lawyers. I mean, when you're in a trial or you're in that's the heaviest thing you can do in life, I think. Obviously, I'm saying as far as a lawyer, it's one of the heaviest situations. Picking juries and dealing with the personalities, dealing with the judges, the prosecutors, it's not easy.
Well, the reason I say I think it's a little bit less stressful is because, at least, you know, I've done a lot of different areas of law, but there's still a certain amount of camaraderie between prosecutors and defense attorneys.
Right.
Where we really don't make each other's lives that miserable if we don't have to.
Most of them. Well, because you're soldiers, because you're literally, you're fighting in the trenches, right?
Yeah.
You're in, like, prosecutors are trial lawyers, most of them. Defense attorneys are trial lawyers, most of them. So when you're a professional fighter, I tell people this all the time. It's like if you're an MMA boxer or a boxer, those guys aren't picking fights in the streets. They're not fighting unless they have to fight, girls or guys. Same thing with that. Like, you know, when you deal with the family lawyers or these other lawyers and they're just nasty and attacking each other, it's just, we have so much conflict in this field and such high stakes. It's not worth that fight for people, especially experienced, seasoned,
you know, like
and defense attorneys.
In every family law case, you know, it's an order gets filed and then immediately it's motion for contempt and sanctions.
Right.
And the thing we don't necessarily have that. We can allege prosecutorial misconduct, but the consequences of prosecutorial misconduct are so much more severe.
We don't do that.
We don't do it because it would.
You're attacking someone's livelihood. Like, it has to be such egregious behavior, right? I mean, I've seen cases, I've considered it, never done it, but when it's egregious behavior, but like anything, the best is to take a deep breath, you know, think it out. You're messing with people's careers, you know, and those people usually, the universe takes care of those people.
Yeah, and it usually was something they overlooked, where you can be like, hey, you overlooked this, and oh, sorry.
Well, no, yeah, that for sure, but that's okay. That happens, you know, they're humans, but like it's as far as the camaraderie between the opposing counsels, I agree, it's the best.
Yeah.
Because there's like almost like a brother or sisterhood there, right?
Yeah.
And with cops too, like that's what I'm saying. People say you hate cops. I don't hate cops. Like,
No.
we're all on the front lines. All of us are on the front lines. All of us see what's going on. We call like civilian sheep because they don't really know what's going on, you know? So, I mean, there's camaraderie there. And with the other attorneys in other fields, it's definitely different. But as far as stress, as far as the stakes,
Can be a little
our
high.
stakes are high. It can be a little high. Guy facing 15, 30, death penalty. I mean, I don't think it gets any higher. But always fun to have Mike on, share war stories. More will come up, more going on right now we can't talk about. I'm sure that'll be coming on. I look forward to having Mike on again and other attorneys. We could talk about that. But thanks for coming on again, Mike. Appreciate always having you. And to all the viewers, thank you all for watching Two Taps and Friends. We love you all. We're going to keep bringing them at you. Please like and subscribe to the channel. When you like and subscribe to the channel, it helps us. It boosts us. It keeps us, it gets us more viewers, gets us more going, gets us more motivated. So thank you all. We love you all. There's also a link below if you want to get some Two Taps and Friends swag now. You could buy some sweatshirts, t-shirts. They got everything. It's pretty cool. But thank you all for listening. We're everywhere. Again, we're on YouTube Music. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on YouTube. We're on Instagram. We're everywhere. So like and subscribe. Glad to have you all. Glad to have my guest, Love you all. We'll see you very soon. Thank you. Cut.